Howdy folks, my name is Teri and we're painting up these Space Marine Blood Angels today. You can actually find the tie-in video for this tutorial on the Geek and Sundry Vlogs channel. I'll throw the video link at the end of this video. And I just wanted to mention that when you do batch painting, it's always a good idea to actually figure out what your paint scheme and colors are by doing a test model first. So while I didn't do a test model for these models, I'm just pulling the tones that I used for my Space Hulk Blood Angel Terminator. That was a tutorial I did not too long ago, and I'll throw the link at the end of the video as well as in the description for that video. And you can kind of get a sense of the color tones, whereas I go into more detail on that Terminator. It's a bigger model, it has more details that are prominent. For these rank and files, I kind of just blasted them through using very simple and basic techniques. The point is, when you need to get stuff done and on the table so you can play with it, so you can enjoy these models, sometimes all you need is the basic techniques. You can always add more details afterwards, but you really want to make sure you get the bases done, and this is a really simple, basic tabletop quality paint job. So we're going to get rolling right after this opening. Okay, so we're going to start off with these primed models. I've primed them using Army Painter's Dragon Red, which I absolutely love as primer as a brand. Army Painter's color primers are a godsend, and I love them as a product. I've been using them for years, and I think that they're fantastic. This just saves so much time when it comes to particularly base coating large quantities of models. And the other thing that's nice is they actually sell paints in the bottle that matches all their primers. So it's a close enough match that it's like an eraser. So if you make a mistake painting on a base color, you can just go over that section with the bottled version of the primer, and it's like having a mistake eraser. So you can just go back and paint that on. Right now I am doing some base coats of black. We are putting on the black now because it tends to be the least fiddly of the colors. So if you put some black on and you want to do any dry brushing on top to make it look metal, it's a good base coat for that. And when you put the black on, you can also do washes over it, and it doesn't actually affect the color, which is a good way to go. So I usually put the black and base coats on before I do anything else with the model, which the next step simply is putting on a soft body black wash from Secret Weapon. It does, however, have that same glossy finish as a lot of other quick shades, so you will want to either hit the models at the end with a dull coat product if you don't like it shiny, or just leave them shiny as is if you're into that. So here's a quick peek at what they look like up to this point, and now we're just going to take a brush, load it up with some silverish paint, wipe most of it off, and dry brush onto the bolter. This silver paint, you can use any line. There's so many versions of this darker silver tones out there, but ultimately bolters are silver toned, and I tend to prefer warmer metallics on red, and I do include brassy elements because of that. Bolters, in my mind, will always be silver, so that's why they're getting the silver treatment here. Okay, so next up is to pick out the details that you want to be ivory and white with some white. If you're using, you can use virtually any white, but if you're using a less pigmented white, because I'm using foundation white, which is extremely pigmented, but you still have to water it down so it doesn't go on chalky or clumpy, you want to thin down your whites and you want to be willing to put in multiple layers. It does take time to get a really nice white. My shortcut is to use a foundation white, and there are a lot of versions available through various lines, but you will still need to do multiple coats even with the foundation white, so just be prepared for that. Let them dry in between, and that's the nice thing about batch painting is you paint all of these details simultaneously, yet kind of swap out the models to give the model an opportunity to dry in between. You'll also notice I put some little white in the eye sockets. That's just so that the color that I'm going to put in the eye socket pops out a little more. It's really hard to do multiple layers in eye sockets. It's hard to justify the amount of paint you have to use, how often you have to wait, and for me, I'm very impatient like that, so putting on a little bit of white kind of is like buying a little insurance to ensure that the color that goes into that socket afterwards pops really beautifully. Alright, so once that goes on, I'm going to also put on a little bit of a brassy tone on some of the metallic adornments. So the chest wings, I wanted to pick out with a little bit of metallic color. That way it doesn't overpower the model with the amount of metallic, because it's kind of hidden away, but it's present in there and it kind of pops because it'll catch the light. And any other little bits and adornments, maybe some touches on the bolter or on the bolter strap if you have one of the models that has a strap, and just picking out little details that might have gone brassy instead of super gold. And finally, we're going to do the finishing details now. I'm going to start by doing a flesh wash, which is like a really warm brown wash, to put on the white elements. So instead of painting ivory and then having to pull out more paint and kind of, I don't want to say waste time, but it is somewhat time consuming, I really did want to kind of streamline the whole process. So by using the same whites and then toning them down to make them look ivory, you save a little bit of time, and that's kind of the point of batch painting, is try to optimize your time. So I'm putting the flesh wash on those white elements that I want to, age and antique and make look ivory, as well as using that same wash and painting that on the acrylic to give it a little bit of depth and give it some shading in the details of the wings there. It's not a ton, but it does make the little elements pop, and that's what you really want. And finally, we'll just paint in the eyes. I use some scorpion green because I think I'm still in a festive, Christmassy mood, so red and green kind of go well together in my head. But, you can paint it whatever color you want, whatever makes you happy. And there you have it, the finished Marines. They're not really incredible award-winning models. These are a tabletop standard, and from here you can very easily elevate any single element, use more advanced highlighting techniques, including layered highlighting, which, isn't especially advanced, but does take a little more time to, improve the quality of the model. But really, when you're looking at a quick paint job and you're looking at a batch paint job, sometimes the simple techniques are the best. Just focus on doing them cleanly and neatly, and they'll take you very far. That's it for me, and until next time, I will see you soon.